Hey.
Hi.
Hey, Aim. Hey,
Hi,
this
Jess.
is this is Amy, and I'm Jess, and we're Big Love Hug.
We think we're cool, and we want you to think we're cool too. We love the things we say. We
And you
just
will
must
too.
make them public. Yes.
And we think we're funny.
And
So
we hope you will too.
exactly. So let's hang out for a little while, see what happens.
Yeah. Today, this is I think it's our 6th episode. And we are talking today about da 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 da. What if more people identified as spiritual beings? Mm.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
Okay, I have my own personal story about this. At some point, I was studying Western occultism, and one of their cues was to look as though you were looking through the eyes of God, to see everybody, like any random person, as though they too were God. And now I gotta say, I never was into the word God. I'll just say that right off the bat. But because I was studying Western occultism, I just took it on. I just tried it on. I was sitting at my pottery booth, and I would imagine I was God looking at God, kind of like when you say namaste at the end of a yoga class, the light in me recognizes the light in you. It's kind of the same thing. What if I was a spiritual being and so were you, and we were both just little fragments broken off of some larger, amazing goodness, something beautiful, something authentic, something real in this world. What if we were all important and beautiful and rich? So instead of kind of walling off and being like, people suck and why aren't they buying my pottery? And, like, I need to change my business. And that, it was like I was just in my heart and just coming from love. And I felt very innocent and childlike when I did it. And I always had, I don't want to say always, but there were many magical, beautiful, very simple interactions that would come just from me bringing that energy. Then through time, I started just kind of taking that on and thinking of myself as a spiritual being here on earth, that I'm here for a visit in a human body, and what good can I do here? What's the best I can do with this human life I get to have?
Mhm, mhm. That's pretty much exactly my experience too, walking
Hmm.
through, that feeling like for me, it's God too is a little triggery, but I've also over time trained myself when I hear God, insert X, source of all universal love, beloved, divine, whatever word it is, it kind of doesn't matter anymore. So I'm kind of on that train too, which is really cool actually to come back and not push it away, but just feel into the feeling of the word, which is really beautiful.
Hmm.
So another way that I hear it too is like love meeting love, like that I'm coming from that like pure love without the story, without the overlay of anything from the past, just coming back to that original feeling of innocence and purity and unstained, untainted, pure love, and seeing that in another and meeting that person, like it's love meeting love, where there's no separation. So
Oh,
I actually
yes.
had a cool experience just the other day, and it takes a little training because the default mode is not that necessarily. So like it takes a little bit of training myself to come to come to an interaction with a person from that place of love meeting love. Because people, it's easy to get annoyed by people because humans, that's what we do. We run stories, we get annoyed, whatever.
Mm.
um, and I was having dinner with a friend who is kind of annoying. But I decided
Hopefully they're not listening to this podcast now.
not to name names, but I wasn't really looking forward to it. But I decided that I was gonna go in as love, as God meeting God, or love meeting love, or whatever. Like I was just gonna go in with my heart open to seeing the magic. It's really magic to seeing the magic of this human and where we meet and where our hearts connect, and just keep my heart open. And it was amazing. It was the best time we've spent together. And I felt it back. Like there was a softening on their part because I was open. So then there wasn't a resistance on their part. And we were closer by the end of it. Like it was palpably different. And it wasn't just me. Like me coming in open to that shifted the whole experience.
Well, I imagine if I was having lunch with somebody that showed up and was like, had this like kind of behind the scenes feeling that I was kind of annoying, that we might not have such a good lunch.
So the whole thing, it takes two to
What you
tango, is
bring,
actually a
yeah.
myth, right? It takes one to tango because
That's true.
one person changes the dance step and the dance changes.
That's true. Yeah, what we bring, this is actually a Nia concept, is that what you bring to a relationship completely affects the relationship. So
Hmm.
if you have a relationship that's not working for you, look at what you're bringing. What are you
Exactly.
bringing? Judgment? Are you bringing resistance? Are you bringing closed offedness? Are you bringing fear?
Yeah.
I would like to talk about fear for a minute.
Mm.
I'm just really into it lately. I'm so into fear right now. I'm so into recognizing it
Mm.
and how often I'm afraid. So if I have my angel part and my human part is kind of rooted in fear.
Mhm.
I realize it so much that even every day when I see the same person, the first feeling I have is, are they going to be open to me? Are they upset with me? Like, did I do something yesterday that upset them? I just have this like little program that's almost always playing that can
Mm.
be very unconscious. That's fear based. That's like, I'm afraid that I hurt someone. I am afraid that they're not going to like me. And
Mhm.
it's going a lot of the time. That is my human part, and I'm so in touch with it. And the hack is, I think, being in touch with it. Like the fact that I'm in touch with it really brings me closer to letting it go. It's like bringing it out of the shadow and into the light, brings it into relationship with me. I can see it and I can let it go. And if I couldn't see it, that's why I said I love fear right
Mhm.
now, because I'm so into it. I'm really watching it. I'm really looking at it in myself and others. I'm bringing it into conversations, and I want to run open forums about it and have everybody talk about their fear. Every time I get into a group, even sitting here just doing this podcast with my very best friend, even actually just so often when we talk, if I just get if I feel a little resistance to you, I get a little inside,
Yeah.
I really feel scared that I might have hurt you. I could lose our friendship, like the whole thing's like balancing on this tiny little golden thread, and it could just like fall off into the black hole of nothingness. I Another part of me knows that that's nothing, not even
Right.
a possibility, but some part of me, that's like the limbic system, am I going to get chased by a tiger part,
Mhm.
am I
Mhm.
about to die part, really is there a lot all the time. And I wonder, it's like, if I'm like that, then I feel like everybody is like that. In these groups, in these open forums, I'm just like, I'm afraid of myself getting attacked. I'm afraid of other people getting attacked. I'm afraid of my not being able to protect other people if they do get attacked. It's really deep
Mm.
and very present for me right now, is watching the fear. And I wish I
So-
could just come out and say it. I'm afraid. I'm
Well, yeah, what would it be
afraid.
like if people did that? So the first, I mean,
Hmm.
there's so much to this. First is just recognizing how often you feel that way, right? And then in observing it, then you can make different choices rather than it running you, right? That's turning on the light. I had this image, which I love, of like our minds are like a dark room with lots of furniture in it, like a storage room with like tables and chairs and bookshelves and boxes, and it's dark in there. So we keep stumbling over the same, but the couch hasn't moved, but we don't know where it is because it's dark. So we just stumble on it. But if you turn on the light and put light in there, then you can see, oh, there's that couch. I'm going to walk
Hmm.
around. It doesn't make the couch go
Right.
away. It just
Right.
changes your choices, changes your agency, changes your relationship
Yeah.
with the couch in your head. And then you can start making different choices that become different patterns, different habits. You can change the way you think about it, which is brilliant. And then
Hmm.
coming back to who would you be being in the world if you were coming from a place of that pure heart, of that spiritual being without fear? Like, who would you be? How would you be in relationship with people if
Yeah.
fear wasn't running the show? That's really
Yeah.
that heart, that innocent, beautiful, pure heart. But it was before fear happened, before we needed to feel like we had fear, like before the story. It
Or I
was
like to
just,
think of it as underneath, like not
mm,
just before, like time, that sounds like time, but
mm-hmm,
underneath is like it's right there,
mm,
and
yeah.
throughout the timeline. Not to
Right.
make what you just said wrong, but because
No, I
it's
think that's
true,
great. Yeah,
we did
because
at
it was
some point get afraid or get hurt. Hmm.
it wasn't
Oh,
well,
I'm afraid. I just interrupted you. Hold on. I'm afraid. I want to only support everything you say, and now I've come. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to do that. That's exactly what I want is like catch it that fast,
right.
catch that.
Yep.
I did. I got afraid. I was like, oh shit, this is our podcast. I need to be like, like your best teammate and partner and only support everything. And yeah, so that did just come up.
Well, on the flip side, it's like, oh shit, I said it wrong. I said before instead of under, like, but I don't have, it wasn't for me, it wasn't a fear thing, but
Uh-huh.
it's,
Uh-huh.
it's different over here. It's different furniture in the dark brain.
Uh-huh. And also, I wanted to use your thing is that your light switch thing is that I think of enlightenment as exactly that. It's just like turn
Ah,
on the lights.
ah,
Enlightenment. Oh my gosh, look, I can see everything. Like
yeah,
complete openness, like everything revealed,
ah,
nothing hidden. Enlightenment. Just turn on the
beautiful,
lights. Bring some light
beautiful.
in.
And
Shine
it's
the
not
light
about
on
getting rid of the
everything.
furniture. It's not about getting rid of
Yeah,
anything. It's not about changing anything. It's just
it's just
illuminating,
seeing it all. Yeah.
illuminating.
Yes.
Oh, I
Being
like
willing to
that.
see it all. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it too. And along those lines, I wanted to bring in this concept of homo luminous,
Ooh,
right?
that's a cool word.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Hey. So, homo luminous, I learned this just recently. I was watching a YouTube video by Alberto Villaldo. The video is called like How to Create Peace in Crisis. And he is a founder of some kind of shamanic tradition called Muneki, the Four Winds Society. Anyway, I did a little bit, I tried to do a little research before this podcast about him. He's a medical anthropologist. But anyway, he introduced this concept of homo luminous and that we are in a crisis right now. But what these crises do, humanity's crises, is potentially help us evolve. Like right now, there's a war, but that also constellates peace. Like anything, like yin and yang, is always going to constellate its opposite. So as this like war comes and hatred and vilifying and all this kind of like darkness, it also creates its opposite. It gives the possibility of this opposite. And I just like the idea that we are evolving, or that humanity, these are the words I have in my head, humanity is going to split into homo luminous, like the light, and homo barbarus, the barbarians, and
Yeah.
we can just put them all in one place, and the barbarians are only allowed to like fight against each other. Like they can't fight against light beings because we can't be hurt. Like it just goes right through us. Like
Aren't
uh-oh.
all,
I'm afraid. What did
isn't
I say
but the light
wrong?
is within all of us. Who are those barbarians that don't have, that aren't also luminous?
I do believe that everybody has the capacity for it, but due to conditioning, I don't believe that everybody would choose it.
Ah,
From what I've seen right now in this war world, I think some people are really attached to being power hungry. Ding. To having power over, to being greedy, to being the winners, to being violent. Some people are, I think, committed to a
yeah,
life of violence.
right.
I
But
don't
it
think
doesn't
that
mean
they're
that they're
gonna like
not
suddenly
luminous.
wake up and be be all peace and love.
I agree. And all of that conditioning is what's on top of that which is underneath, which is that luminous. You know, and I think you're right. I think it's a choice. I think some people will just never choose that. They will just never choose
It would be great if all of humanity would just kind of like wake up one day and we're like all floating around with our harps and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I think people will choose to keep their armor on, like all of the protective layers, that we sometimes have. Like, I don't like this person, or,
that.
all the resistances that we put on as layers that protect ourselves. I think in order to do this work of becoming a spiritual being, if you want to make that choice, that we have to choose consciously to take those layers off. So yeah, maybe inside we're all homo luminous, but some people just might never know that, and,
Yeah.
and I
No,
don't
it's
know.
choices. I agree. I agree. It takes everything to take off the armor. It takes
Hmm.
everything because then
It
you're
takes letting
exposed.
go.
You're
Yeah.
exposed. You're vulnerable. You're open, and
Mm.
it takes everything to show up.
I don't feel when I go into my space, which I have found inside my body, that's how I connect to my spirituality, is actually like through learning, through regular daily practice to relax all parts of my body. The places where we hold trauma, where we grip, we can inhabit. And then those are the places of tension and armor and protection. So my regular practice, my spiritual practice, is actually a somatic practice of relaxing the armoring. As we talk right now, I can feel it in my jaw. Relaxing the armoring. What if I wasn't invested in what my face looked like and what you thought of me? Anything, and just relaxing. And then when I can fully relax, I can access my central channel, the shushumna that goes from the perineum up through the crown. And when I'm there, it's like that's my axis, and I'm connected to this very deep part of me, and it's just a thread of light, and I cannot be hurt. So I don't feel vulnerable because I really identify with this thread of light, and I really source myself there. And then all of a sudden, like when I can feel that, it's like all the layers can go, and my body can be very like fluid, and things can come in and out. Like it's almost like the armor and the fear is a belief that I can be hurt, but
Mm-hmm.
when I can relax in my body and just feel that thread, there's kind of this feeling that everything passes through me, and I'm connected to everyone and everything, and I'm a part of it all. And I'm also connected to like earth and sky and spirit and beyond. And like, I ha I'm just I'm just here. Yeah, I think it's like almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or like some kind of a spiral of like we armor and then we're afraid and then we believe that things will hurt us, and then when things do hurt us, we're like, see, I knew it. I was going to be hurt, and then it hurts more, and then we build more armor and then we get more hurt. And so I remember once you said after one of your meditations, or maybe it was a Ram Dass thing, it was like, if this was going to be the last moment on earth, the best thing I could do is relax. Oh, if this was the end of the world and I was just about to get killed, the best thing I could do is have one more relaxed moment in this body.
That's the place to access being a spiritual being. There's no If you come from that place, then there's no fear.
Yeah. It's not even vulnerable. It's just open. It's open without being vulnerable. There's a belief that it would be vulnerable if I was gonna let go of all these layers. You're like, then I would be so vulnerable. But no, actually you're vulnerable when you're like this because you're rigid, you're
Mm-hmm.
poised for attack or hurt. You're like manifesting it. Well, I don't want to say that, but you're thinking about it, and energy draws attention, or energy follows energy. So if I'm like fearful, chances are I'm going to draw something that engages with that fear. If I'm relaxed and open, chances are I'm going to draw something that engages with relaxed and open. Yeah.
I have little sticky notes to remind me of things that
Uh-huh.
are meaningful to me. And one of the sticky notes is, this has nothing to do with me. And
Mm.
me being similar, I use different language, but that same idea of that inner place of peace that is untouchable, that's unchangeable, that's unstainable, that's pure and underneath everything. And no matter what, either what this body is feeling or what is happening around me, whatever stories my mind is making up, or whatever is affecting, or like people or car accidents or hail or whatever, like it has nothing to do with me. So then, like you said, like it doesn't get, there's no vulnerability because nothing can touch that. And wow, if we walked through the world, if each of us came from the place of nothing can touch that purity,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fear of the interaction that somebody's going to hurt you, or you're going to hurt somebody else, or whatever that story is that runs us, like if that story weren't there, then our interactions in the world would be so different.
Yeah. Yeah, how would we move through the world, and how would interactions change if we really identified as spiritual beings, and it was like we really are, feeling like I'm like a piece of God or spirit or life itself meeting another piece of God or spirit of life itself, and what would families look like, and what
Oh
would
my
groups look like, right? And
God.
what would classrooms look like, and what would organizations look like, and
Mhm.
jobs and communities and gangs. What if we had spiritual gangs?
I mean, I
Yeah.
just watched West Side Story, so
Mhm.
like it would be all song and dance without fight.
Right. Right, or fake fighting.
Right, dancing. They just
Martial
dance and,
arts.
yeah, they just
Isn't
dance
that
and sing.
I wish that all of our conflicts could be more like martial arts. Like you step in, you have a little something, and then at the end you bow and
Yeah,
you recognize the humanness of the other. You recognize yourself in the other. You honor the other for existing and for being willing to step into the middle with you and have this little and then you go have tea.
right.
Talk about your history, talk about your families. But so just to say out to the world, uh, how would your life be different if you identified as your brand of a spiritual being? What would be different? How would things change if you just let spirituality drench through your system? Whatever that means to you, spirituality. It could just be love. It could be a feeling of connection to everything. It could be, feeling like you are like light, or you could be like me, a fairy, or an angel. I mean, I really like using archetypes. I think it's playful and fun, and they're there for a reason. Humans have created archetypes for a reason, and we can try them on. And I think that that's what Halloween's all about. Be your
Yeah.
favorite archetype and try it on and see what it's like. What's it like to actually be an angel? What if you just even tried it for one day? Just thinking of yourself that way. And I think it's a deep form of self love to do this. And I think that the reason we don't is because we've been conditioned kind of against ourselves. Most people don't have healthy self love. Most people fear. Here we are back to fear, but we're afraid that there's something wrong with us. We're afraid that there's something broken in us, and we don't relate to that innocence and purity and that unshatterable dimension of our being. That's just our
Perfection.
essence.
Yep, perfection.
I want to tell a little story all of a sudden. I know we're probably getting to time, but when my mother was dying, being a part of a death is like such a gift because you get to experience this. So when my mom was dying, we didn't have the easiest relationship when she was alive. But in her death process, I really saw and felt all of the stories dissolve. No story was left. It wasn't about like the arguments we had or our differences of opinion or our criticisms of ourselves and each other, even in the relationship. Because I know we both felt a lot of pain in the relationship, but all that was gone, and it was just my essence and her essence. And it taught me so much, like that was like true spirituality. It's just like that closeness I felt with her when the stories went away.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And we can do that with people when they're alive. We can like say, like, here we are with our stories, but what if we were just filaments of light? You know, it's in the book Eat, Pray, Love. I remember she's like has this huge realization when she's in, I think it was in India, and I remember she's like working on her relationship with her ex-husband and working through this divorce and like what went wrong and how do I fix it? And she saw her spirit and her ex-husband's spirit as these like intertwining blue lights. This is my memory of it. And then it was like all of a sudden everything was okay, because it was like in some dimension that's what we are. We're just two strands of light, you know, doing this dance with each other. And it was just, it really taught me something. It really, that was a big takeaway from that book for me. It was like, remember the essence, like try to let go of the stories and remember our essence and our essential connections to each other.
That's beautiful. And what a gift
Yeah.
to have while you're living, you know,
Yeah.
to have the experience, because I feel like that is what happens when we die. The stories go away.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have that experience. I didn't get to share that with my dad, but I felt that as soon as he died, that I
Mm-hmm.
felt his essence in the story, whatever stories had been running, like they were just gone. And to feel and that's part of my spiritual path too, is like feeling that I'm still alive. So I know that it's possible. Like all these stories that we have, I know at the end of our lives, whenever that happens for each of us, and it will, none of that shit's going to matter. All that's going to matter is the love meeting love. If we can touch that, if we can feel that while we're still alive with one another, what a gift. What a gift.
Yeah.
You know, it can sound morbid to think about, what if this is your last day on earth, or this is your last breath? But it's a powerful practice, because it takes you right to that gratitude, and the stories don't matter. They don't.
Yeah.
You never
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
It's
They really
silence.
don't. They really don't. Yeah.
It's just entertainment.
And also discernment. Like, it's kind of like, I like the way my essence dances with your essence more than the way my essence can't dance with everybody's essence, you know. Gotta make some choices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but if we were all spiritual beings, you know, if we all identified as spiritual, then it would be a lot safer to dance with a lot more essences, I
Yes.
think. Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
That's what's available. That's what's
Yeah.
available. Sign me up.
Let's do it. We do it, I think. We do it, and we have our stories,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you know, it's some of the gift of being human, you know.
Yeah. That we get to.
Personality,
Yep.
yeah, personality, and
Likes and
hurting each
dislikes
other, and fear.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not identifying with it. It's not getting like hooked into it, just to see it for what it is,
Yes,
right? And
yes,
then it's
yes.
like, then my child and I love this about us. We fight recreationally, and we always have since they were little. Like when we get into this tiff, we're like, oh wait, this is fun. But I realized, like, oh my god, they're fighting with me because it's fun.
Yeah.
And then we joke, it's like, oh, this is recreational fighting, and it takes the sting out of it. We're still kind of in it, but it doesn't mean as much, and then it's fun.
Right. I think often in a fight or an argument or whatever, like it feels like our essences are being attacked. You know, we feel like we're really like our souls are being attacked. And when you can think of it like that, like martial arts or sparring,
Totally.
or like,
yes.
I love that with my relationship with Nima, I fight. Like, I like that we have that kind of, I mean, it gets a little old sometimes when it gets bickery and we feel stuck, but when it kind of actually erupts into a real argument, I feel so alive, because I've kept that part of myself down my whole life, you know, anger. It's like, I completely overcome my fear when I'm in anger, you know, because it's just different. Actually, in possibility management, if you've heard of that, there's only 4 like basic emotions. And it's joy, sadness, fear, and anger. And those are like the 4 root emotions. Unfortunately, there's only one that's positive. But here we are, humans, you know, one that's easy. Anger is like it's great for me to be there. I feel really alive when I can actually feel it. And I've also worked on myself enough that I can communicate it with a lot of responsibility. Like I don't like spew my anger all over him. I like communicate my anger really clearly.
Right.
And
I
it's
would
just
say
like,
that they're all
wow.
positive. They're all positive. It's, it's like, it's the,
Yes, it's
what,
our
yeah,
relationship to them.
exactly.
Yeah, totally,
Anger
totally.
is like fire and creation and
Yes,
power, all
yes.
fabulous things. All fabulous.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous.
They're
Fabulous
fabulous.
fear. Fabulous fear. That should be my open forum. Fear is fabulous. I love fear. That's like what I was saying before.
That's great.
Okay, it's probably time for us to wrap up.
Yeah,
So,
this
to
has
all
been
you angels
awesome.
out there, we
Woohoo!
send you, yes, a big love hug from our essences to yours. Woohoo!
Thanks for hanging out.
See you next time.
See you later.
Bye bye. Hey. Hi everyone.
Hey.
Hi. My name is Amy Palatnik, and I'm a person. This is my best friend Jess.
Hi, I'm also a person.
Whoa. That's why we have a podcast.